Hello, it's Davy Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas, where I run the jazz guitar program. Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist. Got the new record way back, y'all. I've got a couple Mel Bay books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary and Into the Labyrinth. Got the rest of my Sunnyside CDs. And let's see, it's summer, it's early July here in Denton, Texas. I just got back from over a month in South America, mostly in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, and I did some gigs in Sao Paulo and also Campinas. Went to the beach, had a great time, really soaked up some cultural experiences, really great. Went to a Corinthians game. Oh man, went to a play. Anyway, did lots of stuff. Did some gigs and hopped over to Buenos Aires in Argentina. Did some gigs there. We did about 6 gigs with the cats from the record, with Felipe Silveira, not Thiago. Thiago wasn't around, but Paulinho Vicente, Bruno Migotto, and Yuri Batista. Glad I remembered everybody's name. A little bit out of teaching shape. You know how it is. You do the whole semester and then you go and a little bit of vacation, a little bit of performing, and this, facing the camera. But anyway, I wanted to talk about something a little different today. I normally, in these videos, I take a jazz standard, really hard tune, and talk about it or some aspect of improvisation, like comping or some scale or some idea. But I want to talk about actually some of the tunes on this new record, since I'm kind of all about the new album right now. It's out. You can get it, a hard copy through Bandcamp, Sunnyside Records. It's on all the streaming services. But I've been playing these tunes a lot. I don't play all of them live, or I haven't this go around, because some of them are very involved and complicated. But I want to talk a little bit about the tune Way Back, the title track of the album. And it's funny for me because basically since I was in the Monk Institute, which is, we're talking like 2007, I sort of started writing music that, for larger groups. And I started writing music where, rather than just having a lead sheet with chords and melody, I was trying to, expand upon that and have everyone have a part and really think about bass lines and the interaction of bass and melody and counterpoint and things like that. And a lot of tunes on this new record, like the Ancient Song and Wintry Mix, especially, and Bachien is another one. They're not the sort of tunes that you just bring a lead sheet to a rehearsal or a sound check and say, let's do this one. And it's, I love writing the more involved stuff, but I found that it was actually hard for me to sit down and just write a tune. And I forced myself. And I'm always kind of looking for medium up and up songs, because I don't have as many. I can crank out the real moody, the Mooney ballads and the moody ballads and things like that, mood pieces, but just something that's kind of swinging and in the pocket. So I sat down to write this tune, and the reason it's called Way Back is it sort of reminded me of some tune from the 90s or the 80s, the kind of tune, particularly, I'm always talking about Steve Mazikowski and his music and his playing. This melody that came to me and this chord progression reminded me a bit of him, and maybe like some Grolnick, Steps Ahead, kind of Brecker. I don't know. It sounded like that to me, so I'll talk about it a little bit. And I know that you guys don't have the. This isn't one of those tunes that's in the iReal app or the Real Book or online. But if anybody wants a lead sheet, just contact me and I'll get you a lead sheet for the song, because here I am talking about it. But basically, it's a 22-bar song, which sounds strange, but it's basically like 8 bars, 8 bars, 6 bars. And within that, it's really kind of 4-bar phrases. So the first one, E minor, 11, C minor, 11, D flat minor, 11, F sharp minor, 11. So that parallel minor 11 chords with this melody. major 7 sharp 9 chord, that's the Rudolph-Zukowski chord, to C7 altered, D flat minor again. That's the first 8 bars. So it kind of goes, it's very, I guess, it's sort of modal, but it's also kind of tonal in the sense that the song is definitely in E minor, sometimes it goes to E major, and so for me, whenever I have E minor going down a major third to another minor, like E minor to C minor, I do that progression a lot. And I definitely think of C minor as like 5 of E minor, to a certain extent. And I've talked about that before. It's kind of like B7 with C in the bass. And I mention it here because the next chord, D flat minor, is kind of like E major. You know, if you look at the upper structure, there's C minor, D flat minor, right? It's kind of E major at the top. So it's almost like, and I don't really play on it like that necessarily. I mean, it goes by kind of quick. It's not super up tempo, but it's medium up. So I think you can just kind of take it chord by chord, look for common tones and negative guide tones. But, you know, I was thinking about, well, how did I come up with this melody and why these chords? And I think that there's a little bit of that circling around the key of E major, E minor, because even after that D flat minor, it goes to F sharp minor, which is real 2 chord in the key of E. Melody taking advantage of some common tones that sound kind of more chromatic than they are because they all fit over the chords. And then, so that's the first 8 bars, the first 2 4-bar phrases, and then F sharp minor again, D major, flat minor, A flat minor. So again, some sort of parallelism with I guess they're not all minor chords, but it definitely has a modal feel to it. And then, this is something that happens a lot on the record for some reason. I have these ascending major chords and dominant chords. Happens on the song Liz, happens on a few songs. So I've just gone F sharp minor to D major, to E flat minor, to A flat minor, and then I go G flat major, G flat major to G13 flat 9, to A flat 13, to A diminished, resolving to a B flat minor, and then there's the 6-bar phrase. And I guess for me, if a song gets one of my songs gets too modal and too many minor chords, I feel like this kind of brings it back to the jazz, to earth a little bit. I don't know, in a kind of like Ellingtonian, I don't know, Strayhorn, like the end part of the bridge of Blood Count. It's got those ascending, I forget where it starts, but ascending dominant 7 sharp 9 chords. I mean, that definitely puts you back in the in the jazz realm, and it's almost like gospel kind of soulful realm, maybe. A bunch of minor 11 chords can get a little too ethereal for me. I like the sound, but then I want to mix it with other things. And then the last 6 bars, B flat minor to A flat minor, A minor to G7, G13, and then F major to B7 altered back to E minor. So it has a very sort of circular feel, and like I said, I'm trying to mix in the modal, and by modal I mean basically just any chord can go wherever I want it to go, right? There aren't any rules really other than what I want to hear. And I guess at that time what I'm hearing is music from a certain time period, in my youth. And so to play on this song, man, I had to practice it a lot, and I still have to practice it. It's like, we write these tunes, and then it's a good motivator for me to write something. It's not that I set out to write something really difficult, but you write it and you want to sound good on your own. So nobody wants to sound sad on their own song, or any song for that matter. But particularly when you wrote it, you got to kind of sound good on it if you want everybody else to sound good on it. So that I'm always trying to hear melodies. I have little finger patterns and things that can take me through minor 11 chords, and I can play on all the chords that are in that song. But for me, it's always like searching for that little melody, something that's gonna hopefully hit home with the listener and hits home with me. And a lot of that comes from common tones. Whenever I can, if it's from E minor to C minor, you got a lot of common tones, right? Like A, G, D. From C minor to D flat minor, not so much. I don't know what you have in common in there. But from D flat minor to F sharp minor, there's a lot of common notes. And then to C7 sharp 9, there's actually a lot in common there, because if you think of E major, C7 sharp 9, C7 altered, that melodic minor up a half step, D flat melodic minor, D flat and E major have a lot in common. It's almost, play a lot over that progression of E major. Because on the solos I don't play that chord, I just play sort of E major. E major, C7, altered D flat. You can almost play like a little pentatonic melody that if you didn't hear the chords behind it, you wouldn't hear those chords. Or I can outline them. F sharp, that's a good, F sharp minor is like a pivot chord there, because then I have a D major chord. And so my F sharp minor has been sort of a 2 chord in E, and then all of a sudden to get to D, it's like a 3 chord in the key of D, maybe. But then there's sort of a modulation there to G flat. I'm just moving things around whimsically. I don't remember how I wrote that particular, these things are kind of magical the way they occur to you, although I took a lot of time actually on this song thinking about the hits, the rhythmic thing about whether, because the melody is which one of those I wanted to be upbeats. And which ones were on the beat. I think even there's a version we did live at Smalls a year and a half ago where the hits were a little different, but when I finally did the record I changed it. And yeah, it's the recording we got on the record is really great. We got Felipe has a great piano solo. Guitar solo's all right. It's hard, y'all. You get in the studio, you get a couple shots, and you do the best you can. But it's also what we do when we do it live, and a little of this on the record. We trade with the drums on it, but since the form is like 8-8-6, someone will play 8, the drums will get 8. Someone will play 6, the drums get 8. Someone plays 8, the drums get 6. It kind of loops around in a interesting way, and eventually we try not to get lost and take the head out. Anyway, I played it 6 gigs down in South America, and I'm going to be heading to Mexico in a couple weeks. Going to play it on 3 more gigs. But anyway, I'll play on it a little bit now with a track that I use to practice. I tried to edit the track down a little bit because, for practice purposes, it's really long. So I'll play the head once, take a few choruses, and check out the record, y'all. These days, if you got the streaming thing, you can just listen to it. If you're curious about the lead sheet, send me a message, and you can always pick up a hard copy. It looks so good. I got the design and all that business. Anyway, Sunnyside Records, way back, and I hope you enjoy it. All right.